Our next keynote topic is Times Change, Digital Challenges and Opportunities at the New York Times, presented by Mr. Nick Rockwell, Chief Technology Officer of the New York Times.
Hi, my name is Nick Rockwell. I'm the CTO at the New York Times. I'm very excited to be here. I want to thank the ArabNet organizers as well as the Dubai-based International New York Times team for getting me here. It's my first time in the region, and it's been a fascinating day so far already. So I'm very excited. I'm going to talk about the Times and a bit about our journey in becoming a digital operation, a digital company. First, I want to note that we're actually 20 years into the digital revolution. We celebrated the 20th anniversary of the original New York Times website just earlier this year. So we've actually been at this for quite a long time. And to the point that we not only have a print legacy, we actually have a digital legacy that we're dealing with today too. So we have habits that we've learned, a way of thinking about the digital business, as well as a technology legacy, even within the digital space already. So it's quite complicated. So how do you transform a 160-year-old institution that's really been one that's defined its category, that's storied and long established and has many traditions? How do you do that without breaking it? And I'm actually quite new to the New York Times, but I was also a lifelong reader growing up in New York City. So I've appreciated what the Times has offered as long as I can honestly remember. So to me, personally, it's very important that whatever we do, we never lose that thread and we never lose sight of what makes the New York Times unique. It makes us able to do what we do. So how do we do that? The answer is we've approached it very carefully. Like I said, it's been a 20-year process to get to where we are today, and we still have quite a long ways to go. We've taken a lot of criticism over the years for this. The Times has, during the first wave of digital transformation, when Clayton Christensen was sort of the poster boy and the idea of disruption was on everybody's tongues, we took a lot of criticism for moving slowly by the way that we were perceived at any rate. And when we launched our paywall, we took a lot of criticism for that as well. We were really seen to be taking a step backwards. That doesn't work on the internet. We were told all of these things. In reality, with the innovation of the metered paywall, we were able to create a structure that enabled us to work carefully into finding out how the paywall worked and what our readers would actually tolerate. So I think it's been part of our process all along to proceed quite carefully, incrementally, and even though we've taken a lot of heat for it, I think it's been proven to be the right approach for us. So what is our challenge? The way that we view our challenge is to secure our journalistic mission for the long term. And I would actually change the phrasing here a little bit, having thought about it a little more. We need a viable business to be able to support that mission. But the mission unquestionably comes first. That's what the New York Times does. We go places other people don't go, and we do a level of investigative reporting that almost no one else can equal. So obviously we need to have a going concern to support that mission, but that is the way that we look at it. And it's a complicated machine that makes this all come together. There's at least 3 major parts to it. I'm going to talk about each one. Obviously, the journalism is at the heart of everything that we do. The product itself, which we define broadly as any way that we touch our readers and our consumers. It's the website, it's the apps, it's the paper itself, it's our presence on the social platforms, it's email, it's everything that we do. How does that impact readers? How does it change their perception? How do we introduce new readers to our brand? And it's also the business, obviously. This has to work for our marketing partners. We have to be creating enough value for our subscribers so we can keep that part of the business viable. It all has to go together. It has to evolve at a relatively measured and equal pace, and that's probably the hardest part, is balancing and juggling the different interests of the people involved in each of these parts of the business, as well as the different mindsets and skills, and making them all come together into a viable whole. I'll start with the journalism. I'm not a journalist, obviously. I'm the CTO. My background is a software developer. Nonetheless, I recognize every time I come to work that the journalism is what makes the Times special. So my mission is to never get in the way of the journalism, as well as to help stimulate, work with the newsroom, and help everyone evolve the report and how we think about our readers. So obviously, first and foremost, it's a journalism of breadth, creativity, and impact. And that's not quite as obvious as it sounds. The temptations to chase audience are enormous in this day and age. To play the clickbait game, to try to beat everyone else on speed just to be first reporting a story. That's not what the Times does, and that's not how we can win. We have to be about doing the stories that nobody else can do and creating impact. And that middle word, creativity, might not be one that many would associate with the Times historically. The gray lady, the way that the paper has looked and felt over the years. Today, that's really critically important. There's actually quite a revolution happening in the newsroom. And creativity from a visual perspective, from a product perspective, from different ways we're approaching the report is becoming more and more important. Another core insight that we've had is, while we've always curated the news and we've always had an opinion and a point of view on what people should know, now we can think about it in a much more nuanced way on our digital platforms. So we really want to think about our readers and their needs throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, what's important at what time. So our editorial judgment, again, like understanding what people need at any point in time as they go throughout their day. It's a little hard to see the example here, but it says, "Good morning, David." So we've spent a lot of effort thinking about how we present, like what you need to know for the day and the morning, and then how we unfold stories and present them as the day goes on. And every aspect of the user experience plays into this as well. One thing we've really put a lot of effort and thought into is how to cover a big story that unfolds over time. In the paper, that was very constrained. It would be, we'd run one story, then the next day we'd run an update, but we'd have to kind of recap everything that had happened so far. The next day we would do the same thing. Now we can really create a much more nuanced presentation where we'll continually update the core story, but we'll run backgrounds and just what's new and really be able to craft a whole experience around a large unfolding story. So that's been a critical insight that's played out really strongly and well for us in the last couple of years. We're also looking to our coverage to align to our readers' lifestyles. So the Times for a while, through the structure of the desks, has had permission to address many aspects of modern life. We think this is something that we can really build on to become a guide for people in almost every aspect of what they do and how they live. And we think of these as a lot of the what-to questions: what to cook, what to watch, what to read, how to exercise in the case of well. So we have a group called New York Times Beta, whose mission is to look at the full breadth of our coverage and to look for opportunities to super serve niches of our audience in these areas. So this is where this is the team that's brought us the cooking app. They're working on a watching product and a reading product and a well product right now. And we think that this kind of deep service journalism around the key concerns, lifestyle concerns, not just hard news concerns, of our readership is a huge opportunity for us, and these have been very successful businesses. Honestly, we're still working on the models around this, which I think is exciting. Like, we've been able to take the approach of developing an audience, meeting a market need, without even necessarily understanding exactly how the value prop fits into our core, but that's the challenge for this year, as we're figuring that out now. The last piece of the major, I would say, journalistic transformation is high-impact visual journalism, and this ties into the idea of creativity becoming increasingly important in what we do. The Times actually has a brilliant photography department. We've won 3 out of the last 4 Pulitzers in photography, and we've been perfecting this large-scale franchise kind of visual journalism ever since we did the groundbreaking Snowfall article back, I think it was about 4 years ago. So I think we know better than anyone out there how to do this, how to create these stories, how to present them, how to make them visually impactful. The real reason this is so important is that these experiences can't be replicated anywhere else. They can't be replicated on Facebook or through on Twitter. They can't be replicated in Apple News. So these are reasons why people need to come back to our core experience, which is critical to our business model. So expect us to continue to invest in this kind of high-quality visual journalism. I would include the work we're doing in virtual reality as well as in straight video here as well. That's increasingly an important part of the report that we put together. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the product. Again, I mean this very broadly. It's any aspect, really, of the experience. And we can't, one thing that's a core insight is we've learned we can't just look at the product as a vessel that we pour the news into and then we're done. It's much more dynamic than that, particularly in how we interact with other platforms, but really in many ways, and it has to be continually a dynamic and evolving thing. So first of all, we have a product that people love, and that's very exciting. These numbers are actually quite out of date. I think the overall digital numbers are more like 110 million now. We're almost up to 30 million in Twitter followers, et cetera. So we have scale. We have, we've proven that our digital product is something that many, many people find to be valuable. An insight that we've had recently in the last couple of years is to think about our paying customers first. Now, I don't mean that does not mean that we discount our advertising and media business. It just means that if we think about our paying customers, we got a lot of clarity on what we're trying to do with our product, and it actually benefits all aspects of the business. So in the past, we started as a free product. We kind of layered in this paywall. We're making a mental shift now to think of it as a paid product with a free tier, more of like a trial model that you might see with other subscription services like Spotify or Netflix. So we're moving in that direction. And that just enables us to focus on really the core value prop and what we're really providing to our best customers. We think about all aspects of the subscriber experience. What happens when they call customer care? What happens when they want to put their print paper on vacation hold? What happens when they download a new app, say the cooking app for the first time? Every aspect of how we touch our customers, particularly the subscribers. And we think a lot about what we do with off-platform. And off-platform is what we use to describe Facebook, Twitter, et cetera. It's sort of ironic because they actually are platforms, so it should be called on-platform, but that's not what we call it. And primarily that means we look at it as a brand awareness and acquisition model for those platforms. So, it's clear to us our goal, if we're going to be successful, we have to be bringing the audience back to our core products. We can never only, inhabit these platforms, which is a mistake I think that some of our competitors have made in overemphasizing the distribution aspect of these platforms, but actually diluting the value of their brands. So the last piece that I'm talking about with the product is a gradual move from a broadcast product to a personal or personalized product. And I say gradual because we have a very strong point of view. It's not our mission to just tell people what they want to hear. It's not our mission to just get people to click on 2 more articles because we know they like, the Golden State Warriors or whatever. It's our mission to balance a curated take on the news with what people are actually going to respond to. So that's a very complicated problem when you really get into the weeds on it, so we're working hard on that. And last, of course, is the business. I feel personally very strongly about supporting the business side of the Times and making it successful, partly because as the CTO, I spend a lot of the money. So I need to make sure there's money coming in because otherwise I'll feel bad about that. We have a strong digital business. These numbers are quite out of date as well. They're probably bigger across the board, but we're significantly bigger than many of our pure play competitors, and this is always surprising to people. It was surprising to me when I first saw them, because there's so much coverage of BuzzFeed and Vox and so on, and actually we have a much bigger digital business than those companies, and we're very proud of that. So this is a great base. It doesn't mean too much because we actually need to double this business over the next few years. Again, a core insight here is that the subscribers drive the business. And again, that's not just the subscription business. Our most engaged users turn so many pages that they have a huge impact on our advertising business. They're more engaged with our advertising. They generally are the heart and soul of what we do. To put it in perspective, most media companies are happy if they get between 7 and 8 page views across maybe 2 visits from any given consumer in a month. Our most engaged users will turn 200 pages. They'll read 200 articles, maybe 300. They'll come to us 25 times in a month. So the kind of engagement that we're able to generate for our most engaged users is basically off the charts. And that really drives all aspects of our business. Digital advertising is in such an interesting place right now. Again, I've been in this business for 20 years, since 1996, selling ads on media properties in digital. And nothing changed for the longest time, and then everything changed, and then it changed again, and then it changed again, and then it changed again. So that's where we are right now, and it's scary, but I think it's really fun. So I'm talking about the viewability crisis, where suddenly everyone realized that 3/4 of the ads they were buying were never seen by anyone. I'm talking about the ad blocker challenge now, where there's a growing percentage of the audience that's just blocking ads altogether. And I'm also talking about the attempts by, say, Facebook and Google to co-opt the user experience through instant articles and AMP. Well-meaning attempts, but attempts that they justify by pointing to the bad ad experiences that we have on our own products. So all of this has really led to the death of the old banner model and has us looking for new models every day. Sponsored content, larger, impactful ads that the audience actually appreciates, as well as careful off-platform experimentation on Facebook, Snapchat, etc., are the keys. But really the key is to continue to experiment. And at the heart of that is the T-Brand Studio, which is basically our in-house agencies working directly with our marketers to find solutions to problems and help them reach their goals. International is a huge part of our growth strategy. We have not figured this out yet. We are very much in a stage of experimentation, but we think that there's a lot of value we can bring to audiences around the world. Obviously we have a great deal of English language content, and we're working with how to present that in the best way. We're starting to experiment with in-language and locally sourced content, particularly in Latin America right now. And then sometimes we look at internationalizing our product and we think of it as a personalization problem first and foremost. So if someone is accessing our product from Dubai, there could be many reasons why that is. There could be many different kinds of people. They could have many different intents. And to jump too quickly to, they must want news about the region, that very well might be 100% wrong. So I think we're experimenting with actually layering internationalization into our overall personalization strategy and understanding really what each consumer is looking for, balancing that with our curation of the news and creating the best product that we can for that person. But again, it's all about experimentation. We're very, very early days here, but we know that there's enormous potential, and it will be a huge focus for us going forward. As the CTO, I'm going to talk just a teeny little bit about technology. It's a big topic, but all I really want to say is that if you're focused on the next product that you're working on, or the next deadline, or the next project, or even the next technology, like maybe Kafka, which is a new messaging technology everyone's excited about, you're focused on the wrong things. And the only thing that I really have to do is to create an organization that can continue to change and evolve. Technology moves so quickly, the whole product landscape moves so quickly, that's really what this is about. So I only have to do a few things. They happen to be kind of difficult things, but at least they're pretty easy to get your head around. It starts with the right people. Technology is a talent business, just like so many others. It's about getting the right people and empowering them. Keeping the data clean is critical. If we can't keep our data under control, things get hairy very quickly. There is an architecture problem to be solved. If you can keep the architecture modular in the right way, you can also keep from painting yourself into a corner. For us, personalization has to permeate every aspect of the product. You can look at all of these as ways that we can basically screw it up, ways that we can paint ourselves into corners, and the mission is to avoid doing that. Last, I need to create a culture that's about ambition and risk-taking, because every day we have to come in and throw out what we built yesterday and start building something else. And every time you do that, it's a little bit scary. But that's the only way to continue to keep up with the pace of change. So that's what I come to work every day to do. And that's it. Again, Nick Rockwell, CTO of The Times. Feel free to reach out to me if anyone has any questions or anything that they'd like to share. I'd love to hear from everybody here. And thank you very much.